What's up, fight fans? This is Kirk DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Opetaia, Zurdo Ramirez, and Jake Paul. Get this. Opetaia responds to the idea of Zurdo Ramirez skipping him to fight Jake Paul. Then this is what he said. He said, quote, "He's chasing coin. You can't knock him if he wants to fight Jake Paul for a huge lump sum of money. Who'd turn that down? I'd bash Jake Paul for a couple mil too." Opetaia on Gilberto Ramirez. And let me counterpunch. Wow. That's very understanding of Opetaia. Now you got to ask yourself, the question is, if that opportunity was for Opetaia, would he take it? And now you got to say yes, because he said, I would. He already let you know that he would. He would take that money too. And, to be fair, fighters that are searching for legacy, I think, are avoided by the circus. You know what I mean? And Jake Paul is like the circus. He's the, that's the junk bond fight. That's the Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones. That's the type of fight that, it breeds money. It's a lot of money involved, but it's not a lot of real substance. You know what I mean? And I think Opetaia is a guy, because of his intentions, because the way he carries himself, because of what he says that he wants, he will be overlooked in things like that, because he wants the real legitimacy of boxing to be what it's like to be a legend in the sport of boxing, not someone using the sport as a platform to make dough. Okay, and Jake Paul's been doing that for a while, which I'm not knocking him, because what it is, he's not by himself. You know what I mean? You got guys like Zurdo Ramirez is, now Chavez Jr. And I don't even remember, I don't know when they're going to fight. I keep forgetting about that fight, but it's legitimate fighters that are fighting Jake Paul. So Jake Paul is legitimizing himself in the sport of boxing by throwing a lot of cash around, by making these fights happen. And they're prize fighters, who wouldn't turn it down. But I will say this, for the people that take fights like that with Jake Paul, you have to take into account some of those same people that will take a fight with Jake Paul, but will also avoid a fight for about the same amount of money with Turki Al-Sheikh fighting somewhere that's experimental. I just think that's real strange. You know what I mean? But it is surprising to hear Opetaia is so cool about it. You know what I mean? But it just goes to show you that money talks and bullshit runs a marathon. You know what I mean? So, hey, it is what it is. I still want to see the real fights. I still want the division unified. You know what I mean? Jake Paul is a commodity. Jake Paul has came through and has landed down like a freaking anvil. But at the end of the day, we want to see the best guys in the division get it on. Because here's the weird thing. What if Jake Paul beats Zurdo Ramirez? Think about that. Jake Paul, he's lost to Tommy Fury. Will he beat Zurdo? Probably not. That's if he even fights Zurdo. Because Zurdo is a guy that is young, which is a surprise. A surprise to see Jake Paul pick him as an opponent or whatever. And he's very heavy-handed, so, it would be a pretty good fight, but if anything, it legitimizes Jake Paul. Because if Jake Paul does fight Zurdo Ramirez, what does that say about Jake Paul? You can't no longer call Jake Paul a clown guy. You can't call him a guy that has no business being into the sport, especially if he does something impactful in the fight. See, Jake Paul doesn't really have to win the fight, but he can show that, hey, I can compete at this level. Therefore, stop looking at me as just a mere YouTuber. You know what I mean? Because just because you have a profession and you were very successful at that profession and therefore you start another one, doesn't mean that other one you can't be successful or you can't be an athlete. If you put your mind, body, and spirit to it, you probably can. Even though a lot of people look at Jake Paul and don't take him seriously, but at the end of the day, he did drop Tommy Fury in the first loss of his career, and that guy is around his age. So we can't forget things like that. That shows what? Does he have skill? No, it doesn't show he has skill. Does he have experience? Well, he's gaining experience. Well, what does it mean, Kurt? It means that he has power. That means the boy is big boned and can punch. Okay? That means he can, if he lands on something on you, he probably can hurt you or drop you or, knock you out. That's what it means. So at that point, you should be taking Jake Paul seriously, because if he does fight Zurdo Ramirez, people are not being able to say anything contrary to him trying to be a legitimate boxer. But you guys tell me what you think of Jai Opetaia's response to Zurdo Ramirez possibly fighting Jake Paul. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch.